Excellent. Yeah. There we go. One. Hey, Rox. Oh, you're early. You're early. I'm a wave. Hi. That is pretty cool. Hello. You're early. I've got some music on the background. How are you? How's everybody doing? Hello, Keenan. It's cool to be back again. I'm trying to see comments on Facebook. I need to figure out how to do that more regularly. But hello and welcome. Hey, Melissa. It's cool that you're here too. Hello, everyone. It's very cool that you guys are here. I'm going to get straight into it so that we can actually just get through like all the logistic stuff. I'm glad you're looking forward to this. I hope it's going to be super valuable for everyone. I hope you had like a really great Sunday. I had a really lazy Sunday, which was good. This is what I needed. And then yeah, putting this together was pretty cool. So I hope it's going to give some value today. So if you're new here, finally catching a live, that's awesome. I'm so glad you're here. If you're new here, my name is Amy Isaacs. I am a mental health occupational therapist and I run the Self-Care Studio, which is a online platform to help people sort of just deal with mental health issues, understand mental health issues. I teach life skills and then I also teach relaxation techniques. And just as a disclaimer, while these sessions are possibly therapeutic in nature, they are not therapy. They do not count as therapy, and I'm not giving you medical advice. I am teaching you life skills, basically, and things that we sometimes should know, but often don't know. And I think let's just get into sleep, because I think sleep is for sure what is happening in that space at the moment. I'm going to move in between Facebook and Instagram, as always. Oh, and my hair is a mess, but it's okay. We'll keep going today. So now that I've done a disclaimer, I want to talk about sleep. And sleep is something that people ask me about so often in the last couple of months. And just like the general questions of like, is it normal that I'm not sleeping? Like, why can't I fall asleep? Like, how do I make that better? How do I get more sleep? Why am I so tired during the day? These are just general questions that people ask, and it is absolutely connected to your mental health. Sleep is crucial for our mental health. If we're not sleeping enough, and I think you can relate to this, and like pop an emoji in the comment section if you relate to it. Like, if you're not sleeping properly, you're easily agitated, you're irritable, you struggle to keep focused, you struggle to sort of with your memory. And if you're looking at that in most of us with our day jobs, it takes an amount of focus, attention, memory, problem solving, just following orders, following instructions, being able to communicate with people. All of these things are linked to what you do during the day. And if your sleep is impacted, or if you're not sleeping and you're getting too little sleep or too much sleep, and we'll talk about both spaces this evening, like when your sleep is impacted, all of those things are impacted also. So it really can cause, you know, you're struggling with your memory and your focus, which is a problem. But how does that impact your life? So now you're struggling with your memory and your focus, and oh no, I'm 15 minutes late for a meeting because your memory's problem, and you're not focused sort of on time because you're actually just really groggy from not being able to sleep. So it's important for us to look after our sleep, and we have to consider the impact it has on our daily functioning. So what I'm going to talk to you about this evening is just, I'm going to take you through some of the issues that people have mentioned to me and just look at what can be causing those issues. Then I'm going to take you through, I'll tell you now, sleep disorders, because we must differentiate between disturbances in our sleep patterns and sleep disorders. And I'll take you through those. And at the end of the video, I'm also going to take you through red flags. So at what point do you go get help? Because I'll also talk about this now, but insomnia has levels, and at what point do you actually need to go and seek medical advice or medical attention for this? So let's talk about some things that people have been telling me are issues with their sleep. Levels of insomnia first. So insomnia is the inability to fall asleep or to stay asleep even though you are tired. So you're ready for bed, you're just going, it was a long day, I'm ready for bed. You do all the things you need to do before you get into bed. The lights are off, you're comfy, all of those things, and then you're just awake. there's nothing, sleep is not coming, it's not arriving, you're not feeling great about it, and the next thing you know, you check your phone, or there's a clock next to your bed and it's 2 hours later and you are still awake. Now, insomnia is varying levels. There are people who could, we need to stop diagnosing or using diagnoses to explain, like in the space of, oh, I'm so depressed. No, you're not. You're feeling sadness and emotions of depression. You are not depressed. The same as, I struggle with insomnia. Insomnia is such a varied sleep disorder. It is a very serious sleep disorder. And we'll often then people go, I really struggle with insomnia, but actually it takes you half an hour to an hour to fall asleep, which is a problem, but it's not as problematic as somebody who doesn't sleep for days. Like, there are people who have such severe insomnia that they don't sleep for days, and it becomes incredibly problematic in their ability to function. So that's one of the first issues, is levels of insomnia. People also then staying busy very late. So you're awake until 2 or 3 a.m. and then you need to be up early and you feel terrible the next day. And often this happens in people who work quite late and who stay focusing on work for quite late and don't actually take a break and really switch off that laptop, just kind of keep going and going. Then there are those of us who are awake on our phones or watching series or playing games or reading or just doing something until very late. And this could either be a distraction, it's just something you want to do to actually just feel like you're resting. And then there's this term of like a self-sabotage type term of revenge bedtime procrastination. It's super interesting for me. I'm going to say it again, revenge bedtime procrastination. And this is fully a self-sabotage space. So what you're doing is you feel like the time during the day was not your own. You feel like you didn't have control of what you did during that day. You might have been at work and then you had stuff with family and kids and lots of things, and then it gets to 9 o'clock and you're actually like, but there was no me time. I wasn't in control of any of the time I spent today. And then what you end up doing is staying up significantly later to claim back your own time. It's like, it's my time. I'm going to watch this now. I'm going to stay up on my phone and watch TikTok videos. This is my thing. My thing is TikTok videos till 2 in the morning. It is a problem. I'm very aware of it. I try to limit it, and I'll tell you some of the tips and tricks I'm using to try and limit it a little later on. But revenge bedtime procrastination, I think, is something we all deal with. And I'll tell you how I know you deal with it. I know you deal with it because when I'm watching stories on Instagram, I'm seeing that people are up late a lot later than they used to be. And it's like 10 minutes ago they were online, whereas a year ago, maybe before lockdown, you were actually getting to bed at a reasonable time, and you're actually feeling that even though it was the revenge bedtime space, you actually just kept on going where you needed to go to bed. Other reasons that people are having sleep issues, nightmares. They could be waking you up frequently. They could be attached to anxiety. They could be attached to depression. You could also be having incredibly racing thoughts that are attached to depression, to anxiety or depression as well. And when I say racing thoughts, I mean that space of constantly things are just going in your head all the time. And racing thoughts are an interesting space, especially when we talk about the mental health space, because there are racing thoughts attached to anxiety in terms of, I've got all this work to do. What am I going to do tomorrow? I need to do that meeting. And sometimes you just plan the next day in your head so that you actually feel like you're more in control. But then racing thoughts and attached to an anxiety and depression are thoughts that you can't particularly control. There's a lot of memes on it. When you go to bed and you're like, I'm in bed, I'm ready, and your brain is like, so how did turtles just leave those eggs like in the sand by themselves for like weeks? And you're going, no brain, that is not what we're supposed to be doing now. We're actually just meant to be focusing on falling asleep, and it becomes very hard to actually just control your thoughts. Very often racing thoughts can go in a very negative pattern as well, and it could be so many racing thoughts that make you just feel really down about yourself also. You didn't finish this, now you're not going to get that done, and you're not going to get that done, and actually you're just terrible and nobody can rely on you. Those racing thoughts that just continuously go. These are really, racing thoughts are a thing. You are not alone in your racing thought space. I think I really need people to know that whenever you've got that space of like thoughts just going continuously, and you feel like you can't actually just pull it and control it, it is a thing. Anxiety causes racing thoughts so much. It is something that I encourage you to read up a bit more and learn about it a bit more, and then also learn how you can manage your thoughts, because you are in control of it, and there are ways to actually control your thoughts. And I'm going to say, when you've been to start off on that one, if you are having a lot of racing thoughts and they are causing severe anxiety, etc., try and slow down and ask yourself, are those true? Are these thoughts true? Is there evidence for it, or is it something that I'm just making up and then going along with? Very possible. Some other conditions can also cause sleep disorders. Especially hormone-related conditions that can either cause too much or too little sleep. If you've been diagnosed with a condition, I encourage you to research it to see if sleep problems are common with your condition. I see Happy Ovary Tea has joined you also, so I posted about her the tea because she makes tea for PCOS, which is really cool, and please go check it out if you struggle with PCOS or know somebody in your life that does. And in her tea she has chamomile, to help with anxiety, but also to help with sleep disturbances in women who have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So if you have a syndrome or a metabolic or a hormone syndrome, anything that's sort of controlled by hormones, sleep's controlled by hormones as well. So it's very helpful to actually understand your diagnosis and understand that your sleep disturbances might not be because you had coffee at 9 o'clock, or because you had coffee at 6, or because you're busy with screen time until you go to sleep. Your sleep disturbance could actually be because of the condition that you have. So I encourage you that if you hear about a condition that you have, or if you are diagnosed with a condition, ask the doctor, is sleep possibly an issue for me, or read up about it more. Similarly, your medication that you are on for chronic disorders can affect your sleep, whether that's too little or too much. So if you are noticing a change in your sleeping routines, but actually remembering that you're on new medication, research your medication, read that booklet that's in your little box that people so often ignore. Read it and see if what are the common side effects, and are sleep disturbances part of those side effects. And if they are, I encourage you to speak to your doctor about it. Are there alternatives to this medication, because sleep is vital for me. So this is just some of the issues that you might be dealing with in terms of sleep. And I just want to touch on sleep disorders for a minute, because for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to be talking to you about sleep disturbances as a result of stress. But we must differentiate that there are also significant sleep disorders, and these are full-on medical conditions. So I mentioned it earlier, insomnia, and that's when you're having difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep throughout the night. Again, varying degrees of insomnia, from a couple of hours to not being able to sleep for a few days. So when somebody does tell you they have insomnia, let's just be a little kind with them, because it can be a really debilitating condition to manage and to deal with daily. Hello, Mind Journal. Sleep apnea. Apnea is spelled A-P-N-E-A, in which you experience abnormal patterns in breathing while you are asleep. There are several types of sleep apnea. It's a condition that you could read about for a while. Very common in smokers, very common in people who are significantly overweight, people who have heart conditions, and even people who have sinus conditions. You might have either experienced it, or you might have been in a room with someone who's experienced it. If you've ever noticed, whether it's your partner or yourself, that you're actually sleeping, and then at some stage, quite intensely sleeping, you have to gasp for air, say like, that is sleep apnea. It's when your breathing pattern changes while you are sleeping. Definitely something to look into, especially if it happens almost nightly. It is something you need to speak to your doctor about. Next sleep disorder, restless leg syndrome. And this is a type of sleep movement disorder. Restless leg syndrome causes an uncomfortable sensation and an urge to move your legs while you try to fall asleep. I've known people where this has been quite significant, where they actually can't be in bed with another person, whether it be their partner or anybody else, because their legs just move around quite a bit. It's yeah, it's a sleep disorder. It's something you need to look into. If somebody's telling you about it, or if you're waking up with like cramping legs, etc., also something to look into. It can be very disturbing for people, and it can really cause people to not want to sleep. It's something you actually do need to get help with. So, what we're going to talk about in this session, and I just need to check that there aren't any questions on Facebook. Hello, Facebook people. Please pop questions if you're in the mood, if you're interested, guys. I'm just moving in between presentations, etc. So, I want to talk about sleep in the pandemic, because I want to talk about why you're struggling with sleep at the moment. And just so I'm sure that I cover sort of everything, if you're up for it in the comment section and you want to share what you're struggling with, then please go ahead and pop it in the comments. If I've missed it, if it's something you weren't necessarily struggling with, or I didn't mention it earlier, please pop it in the comment section. So let's talk about why we are struggling during the pandemic. In preparation for this presentation, I read a research study that was done in Italy during lockdown last year, almost towards the end of their first lockdown. And if you remember, last year Italy was quite heavily struck by COVID and the lockdown. It was really bad in the beginning. And what they did in this research study is that they had over 1,500 participants, and they sent them the self-rating mental health assessment. And it was really just basically a checklist of, how you're feeling, etc. And their research actually found that while there was definitely an increase in depression and anxiety, in terms of sleep, more than 42% of people reported an increase in sleep disturbances of various levels. And in that study, they break down the levels of how many actually went to quite severe, and how many were just, your general not being able to fall asleep. But the reality is that the pandemic has impacted our sleep. And again, whether it be one of those reasons I brought up earlier, just in terms of you're awake later, or you are have odd sleeping patterns during the day, or you are just not able to get to sleep, these are very much, or could very much be related to stress in the pandemic. Now, we've spoken about this before in previous videos, just the level of stress the pandemic has added to people. But I really want to talk about the prolonged impact of stress. So we've all been in a state of stress for over a year now, because we've just been daily the space of not knowing what's happening and not being able to sort of plan many things for the future, because things could happen, change at any moment. So I want you to remember that stress compounds, and when I say that, I mean as in, you're not sleeping, or you didn't get any sleep, so you're already quite heightened because you didn't get any sleep. And then on the same day, you miss meetings, your kids forgot their lunch, like a lot of things just happen, and then you figure, cool, I'm actually going to sleep, I'm tired. But then you don't sleep again, or your sleep pattern is messed up again, and then you're ending up with 3 to 4 hours a night of sleep, which is problematic. Our bodies need about 7 to 8 hours, depending on your body, depending on your needs, but we should be going for at least more than 7 hours a night. So I want to talk about stress and why stress does this. So let's remember what stress does. Stress releases hormones in our body and in our brains that put us into the flight, fight, or freeze response. And we've spoken about this in many videos, where it's just a matter of your stress hormone, cortisol, tells your muscles, take all the energy you need, we may need to run, for example. It tells your digestive system, stop working, we need the energy to run other bodily functions in case we need to fight. Most importantly, when it comes to our brain, it tells our brain to be fully alert. There may be danger, we're not sleeping, we need to stay alert. Now, it might sound strange that these things are happening in your brain and you're going, actually, no, but I can't fall asleep, it's not like full on alert. But even small amounts of cortisol and this hormone in your brain actually significantly impacts how you are able to fall asleep. And this is why adding moments in your day that stop or close the stress cycle are incredibly important. And when we're saying adding moments in the day, when we add things that make us happy, when we add things that we enjoy, things that release hormones in our brain that sort of work against the cortisol. So we need dopamine, we need serotonin, we need good feeling endorphins to work against that cortisol. If we are not getting that, again, stress just compounds higher and higher. And it's very easy to not get that at the moment. It's very easy to not close your stress cycle, especially in spaces where you're working from home, you're going from getting out of your bed to, some people are still working in from bed, you're not differentiating your space. Your day is actually just so busy that there isn't moments for yourself. I've been reading about this more and more, and people are saying, I just don't have the time. I'm going from doing something to doing something to doing something, and at the end of the day, I actually just want to sleep. So there's no time for decreasing those cortisol levels, which is something we should be working on. So I'm going to teach you some other things this evening, that help you, that can help you decrease those hormones. And what I want to talk to you about is a concept called sleep hygiene. Interestingly enough, quite a big component of occupational therapy work around the world, quite a new component in the South African space. So I'm quite excited to be learning about it and to be reading about it. So what is sleep hygiene? So sleep hygiene means having both a bedroom environment and daily routine that promote consistent, uninterrupted sleep. We're trying to keep a stable sleep schedule, making our sleep areas as comfortable and free of disruptions as possible, following a relaxing pre-bedtime routine, and building healthy habits during the day. And all of these can contribute to improving our sleep and to sleep hygiene. Now, a lot of these things sound a little complicated, but I'm going to take you through the steps. My sleep hygiene is terrible. I know, all of us are. It's really a challenging space, and it's one of those things where you have to be intentional about it. And I know that that's not particularly what people often want to hear when you are looking at something in your mental or your physical health that you know you need to improve on. The reality and the truth of it is, until we are intentional about it, we are not going to make any changes. So if sleep is important to you and you value your sleep, you will become intentional about it. It's just a matter of actually acknowledging that my sleep is important, I am important enough, I value having that energy the next day, so I'm going to attempt to improve my sleep hygiene. Y'all know I am all about small changes, so at no point am I telling you that you need to make all of these drastic changes at the moment. So I'm going to take you through sleep hygiene again, and I'm going to take you through what are the steps in sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is basically saying that if we consider our environment and the space we sleep in, and we consider how we prepare for bed, and we consider what we do throughout the day, if we get that mix correct, we'd actually be able to improve our sleep. That's what sleep hygiene is. I mean, if I know I had some OT friends watching this. I mean, if you're an OT, it fully fits into our space. OTs will always look at the environment, the person, and what are they trying to do. That's our job. What is the person? Who is the person? What are their needs? What are their likes? What is the environment? Where are they living, working, playing, sleeping? And how can we adapt and sort of make it work together? So definitely can understand why sleep hygiene is quite a significant OT role in many spaces. I'm again just checking comments before I give you some tips on this, but again I'm going to say at no point am I saying it's possible to make all of these changes. What I'm trying to tell you is small changes. So even if something I say now sounds like, I can do that I'm going to try, make that your first thing you try. Because when we give ourselves these monumental tasks of I need to sort out my sleep now, the next week I'm going to sort out my sleep, I'm going to put all these things in place, how realistic and sustainable is that? Because if you're going to adapt your life completely for one element, something else is going to give. But if you add small changes consistently, it becomes part of your daily routine. Same as managing your stress. If you add small changes, 5 minutes of breathing, 10 minutes of moving, 2 cups of tea that you enjoy, sending a friend a message, playing any sort of activity space that you enjoy, whether it be playing games or playing cards or painting or something creative. If you find moments for those in your day, you decrease your stress levels, and already that's going to improve your sleep. So let's talk about how we impact or implement sleep hygiene. Maintain a regular sleep routine. As far as possible, is it possible for you to be able to go to bed at the same time every evening? Now, I wanted to talk to this about this specifically in the space of kids, because I very often have clients tell me, I will save this life. Don't worry, it will be in my IGTV. I very often have clients tell me it's not really realistic for me to go to bed early because my kids go to bed pretty late. Now, I'm very hesitant when I'm not giving parental advice. By no means am I giving parental advice. I am not a parent, I cannot give advice. But what I can tell you about children is that children model behavior. children very often will do as we do and not as we say. And in the matter of going to bed, if the entire family is creating a wind down routine, I'm not saying you must go to bed at the same time as your kids, but if kids get into a space of a wind down routine and things get a little bit slower and easier, and they see you getting a bit slower and easier, it might actually just impact their behavior as well. Kids with sleeping issues is also a completely different topic. It is a completely big topic, and again, I encourage you to seek support if you are struggling with getting your kids to fall asleep, especially during the pandemic. These things don't only affect us, they affect the kids as well. So kids are definitely struggling with sleep as well, and they are definitely struggling with staying focused at school and just sort of managing their emotions at the moment. So if you notice all of these things, it is possible that your kid might need some support. So as far as possible, maintain a regular sleep routine, meaning that I'm going to try and get to bed as far as possible between X and X time. To make it more realistic for myself, I try to get to bed between 9 and 11. Doesn't always work, and I allow some late nights, but I also really encourage myself to do some early nights, and that I know when my body gets to a point that I'm actually just not going to be able to function the next day unless I take an early night. And for me, that means being in bed by 7:30, 8:30, also realistically, depending on what your family routine is. But so, yeah, realistically, what is your family routine? Some people only get home after 8. There's a lot of problematic space in our country regarding that. But if you're only getting home after 8 or closer to 9, and you still have to feed your family, and you still have to help with homework, and you still have to do significant other things in your evening, it's very hard to get to bed around that time. But if it is possible, try to set the time you go to bed and the time you wake up. Set the routine as much as possible. The next step in it is minimize daytime naps. Now again, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know I am all about naps. I know I need a nap in the middle of the day. It is definitely necessary for me. But I also start my day significantly earlier. So I start my day at about 5:06. When it comes to about 5 p.m., I actually have to take a nap. And whether that's 10-20 minutes, it's necessary. And it works for me. I know it works for me. I can tell you it doesn't work for my husband. And I know he's watching this, but I can tell you it doesn't work for him, because if he naps with me, his evening is out. It just doesn't work for him. But there are times when it's necessary for him as well. So I'm not going to go ahead and say avoid daytime naps. Listen to your body. Listen to what is necessary for your body. But as far as possible, avoid naps that are sort of over an hour, over 2 hours, etc. If you're struggling with sleep, try and limit your naps so that you go to bed a bit earlier instead. If you are struggling to fall asleep, don't stay in bed awake for more than 5 to 10 minutes. Get up and do something calming. So you also need to figure out what calms you before sleep. Is it a matter of yoga, maybe? A cup of tea? A hot bath often calms people. A deep pressure massage. I've got videos on those that are also calming and can help with sleep. Get up and do something that works for you. Maybe you need to read a little bit more, switch the light on. What I'm trying to say is don't force yourself into the sleeping space. If it's been 5, 10, 20 minutes and nothing's happening, do something calming. Respond to it. Next step, limit screen time before bed. And as far as possible, don't watch TV or computer or read when you're in bed. It's super important to make your bedroom space a very calming, quiet space, especially if you struggle with sleep. It just makes it really more difficult if you're going switch off the laptop, turn and sleep, all that. You actually just need a break from your screen time before you go to sleep, whether that be 20 to 30 minutes of no screen time, whether it even just be 15 minutes. But as far as possible, limit your screen time in the evenings. Limit caffeinated drinks in the evening and even throughout the day. How much coffee are you having? How many Red Bulls are you having during the day? If you're doing quite a few Red Bulls throughout the day, or even just 6 to 7 cups of coffee, it's going to be challenging for you to fall asleep. These are chemicals it's caffeine. It's meant to hype you up. It's meant to give you energy. So limit them in the evening. If you are from South Africa and you're watching this, you know that we are very lucky to have rooibos tea. It's easily available. It's a non-caffeinated drink. It's something that you can have before bed. If you want something warmer to drink in the evening, it's the same as chamomile tea. It's a tea that really helps calm us and can really help us fall asleep a bit easier. Interesting fact about chamomile tea, and it worked for me, not sure if it's going to work for you, but when you're exercising and you're you know that space where you start exercising and your muscles are really sore, that whole lactic acid situation, chamomile tea is really helpful for easing that stress in your muscles. Coke is also a culprit because of high sugar and caffeine. Yes, Rox is correct. Reese Rock is saying, I have too much coffee during the day. Yeah, like, limit your coffee. I mean, and that also, I go with people with small changes. Like, I'm not about judging people for coffee or Coke. Coke is, if you have a problem with Coke. Let's just be realistic about that. If you're finishing 6 cans a day, or you're finishing a 2-liter Coke a day, or even more, because there are people that really have a problem with Coke, you are aware of it. Even as if I was your therapist, and I've had patients who tell me that, I know I shouldn't. I don't come from a judgment space, even as a therapist. I'm coming from a healing space and a harm reduction space. All that sugar and all that caffeine is not great for you. You are aware of it as well. Decrease it slowly. So instead of 6 cans of Coke for that day, replace 1 can of Coke with water. What we've done in our household is that we've got a soda stream machine. So we replaced Coke with sparkling water. It's actually made a really big difference for us. It is a problem. It's a problem in many households. So let's talk about ways to reduce it, as opposed to being negative about how much Coke people drink. If you drink a lot of green tea, remember green tea does have, and I'm seeing that Millie Pops is saying that green tea does have a level of caffeine in it. Yes, drink more water. Always drink more water. More water helps with everything, but we also need to consider sugar. We know sugar is not great for us, so let's try and decrease our sugar intake as well. Avoid inappropriate substances that interfere with sleep. There again, sugar. And there are quite a few other inappropriate substances that interfere with our sleep. You might find that the medication you're on is also going to might also interfere with sleep. Again, find out from your doctor if that's possible, or read the insert on your medication. It's important to know what you're putting into your body. And if it's going to impact your sleep, then maybe you need to consider, this medication impacts my sleep, so actually I'm going to have a cup of rooibos tea or chamomile tea every evening just to balance that out a little. If possible, please speak to your doctor about that. That's not full-on medical advice. Water is a struggle. Actually, I have water with me. Like, water is a struggle, but it's also one of those things that we need to make small changes about. Have an extra cup after every meal, or glass after every meal. Every time you walk past the kitchen, have a glass of water. Have a glass of water when you wake up, and make sure you're going to have one before you go to bed. Like, start implementing small changes in throughout your day to improve the amount of time you water. Yeah, discipline yourself in a way. There are ways to go about drinking more water. Well done, Keenan. Yeah, we can drink more water. Where was I? Inappropriate substances. Try to get more fresh air during the day. In your daytime routine, is it possible? You have to be intentional about this as well, especially if you are working from home at the moment. It is very easy to not leave your house. Very easy. I mean, we were told not to leave our houses, and we all just got very comfortable with it. So it is very easy to not get fresh air. But even if it's just a matter of on the hour, when I'm at the office, on the hour, every hour, I take a walk around our little holding thing, like outside. Especially if things are getting a little intense, then I'm definitely going to do it. But you have to be intentional about getting more fresh air. And there are ways to also improve that throughout your day. Again, be intentional about it. I want to get 20 minutes of fresh air a day. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're not getting any, getting that extra is actually significant. Now let's talk about having a quiet, comfortable bedroom. And I know this isn't possible for everybody. It is a very privileged response to sleep hygiene, actually. We also know that we live in a country where there is not just 1 or 2 people sharing a bedroom. We live in a country where there are 8 to 10 people sharing a bedroom at a time, possibly. It is a significant problem for us, but we also need to consider those of us who can. If you can make your bedroom a little bit quieter, try and do that. And you can do that by removing devices. You can do that by being considerate about what you're sleeping on, type of bed, type of pillows. I mean, if you are of the means to have a look at your mattress, and is your mattress great for you? Are your pillows great for you? If you are the means to change that, I would recommend changing that, because again, your sleep impacts your way you feel, and it impacts the way you perform the next day. So consider what investment you are able to make into your environment. Easy, affordable ways. Check your lighting in your room. Is your lighting harsh? Can you get a dimmer light? Can you get a cover on your light to just ease the lighting in your room, especially when you're going into bed? If you can't do that, could you use candles before? If you can't change your lighting, could you light some candles that you just switch the lights off and you dim the light in your room? Consider noise in your room. Where is the noise coming from? Can you get thicker curtains? If you're where you're living, your bedroom is along a road or busy street, etc., or if you've got noisy neighbors, can you get thicker curtains so that it blocks sound? Can you put plants, etc., in your room, because plants absorb sound, like in terms of acoustics? Yeah, so it's, where was I? Acoustics. Yeah, acoustics in your room and sound in your room. Can you block that sound out? If you can't sleep because sound is a significant problem for you, do you need to put earphones on or cotton wool in your ears to block the sound? I'm going to be honest that as a South African, I'm not going to block my ears when I go to bed. It's just not going to happen for me. My anxiety will not allow it. Crime levels are like too high for me to actually just not be able to hear what's going on. It's just not a safe space for me. But I would consider it, if it's a safe space for you and you feel comfortable with it and you know that you can manage it, then I would consider it and consider trying it. Similarly, when it comes to lighting, is there too much light coming into your room? If you, again, live along a busy street or highway, you might have cars going past all the time, but you also might have the street lights just out your bedroom. And it's really hard to fall asleep unless you have complete darkness, like our bodies actually need darkness. So again, can you get thicker curtains that actually block the light? Because they are light blocking curtains. Or do you need an eye mask to block light? It's also simple stuff that can actually help make a difference. Give me a second while I read questions or comments. I'm seeing that Rox is saying she's closing off a day with a walk. While she's still walking from home, helps you leave work too. That is such a great idea. It's just like leaving work. Sleep hygiene is a big topic within cancer care in the UK. I love that you're mentioning that, Louise, and I love that you're mentioning cancer care in general. Like, we don't often hear about it in the space of general social media, etc. Cancer care is super important. I think I'll do a session or a post on it so people can understand it. But if someone has cancer, cancer is not the only thing that they are going through. They have sleep disturbances, their anxiety, depression, significant trauma. That's without considering the pain and the process that their body is going through. So caring for someone with cancer is not just about caring for them in terms of helping them with their chemo and helping them with just the way their body feels through chemo. From a mental health perspective, there are actually significant things that we teach and talk about within the OT and cancer care space as well, or just the cancer care space. Lamise's dad at work, she's a friend of mine who's an OT in the UK, and Lamise, maybe we must do a live where we talk about cancer care and like how that actually works out. I wanted to add some other things, so give me a second. I also want to talk about the temperature in your bedroom and the temperature attached to what you are sleeping in, and consider the temperature of your bedding. We have bedding that can actually, there is temperature control bedding. It's pretty pricey, but if you need it, you need it. Check it out, have a look at it. Is it something that you need? Something small to add on is a relaxing white noise. Yes, relaxing white noise. And I mean, that's not even something you can find on YouTube. I did a quick search about just before I started this live on YouTube for music for sleep and relaxation, and there are tons of it. There's even a live that's consistently playing. You could also look for white noise for sleep and relaxation. That's something you can play in the background of your phone while you fall asleep. Thank you very much, my journal. That's a really lovely tip. Again, consider the temperature. Try some calming scents. Calming scents as in what are you smelling when you go to sleep? Is what's in your, you could use a lavender body lotion or hand cream. I really like giving people the hand cream as gifts because it's such a simple way to care for yourself. But you could get a lavender scented hand cream, and it's just something you put on before bed, so it sets you into your wind down routine. And it's also the scent of lavender that helps calm us and helps us sleep. Other things you could do with lavender is put it in your pillows. Lots of people do that. Or you could get lavender oil and put some drops on your pillows. You could also get a lavender candle that will actually you could light it before bed, and it will really just calm you. Rox is also saying there are tons of playlists for sleep on YouTube and Spotify. They really are, and it's a very helpful resource, and I feel like you can find anything on YouTube at the moment, which is great. But if you can't find it, then consider why you're not putting it on. Just pointing that in there, like, you know, put anything on YouTube. So we've gone through, in terms of your sensory space of your room, we've gone through what are you smelling, can you change that into something calmer, what are you wearing, the temperature of your clothing, and also the texture of your pajamas. If you don't like it, change it. So like, it's very possible that you're wearing something that just gives you this slight itchy feel, whether it be flannel or a just different textures, etc. But if you don't like the texture of it, that's absolutely okay. Maybe that doesn't work for you, so change it. What does work for you? Maybe you like the texture of satin and the silky sort of texture, but maybe you absolutely hate it. But find what works for you, and then, you know, get comfortable with it. So in terms of your senses of your bedroom space, we've gone through lighting, sound, scent, and touch, and what you feel. Am I missing anything? Comfort, etc. I think that's basically it in terms of your comfort for your sleep hygiene. I want to teach you a breathing exercise to do before sleep, but before I do that, I'm actually going to do that at the end. I want to talk about a couple of things, some red flags for sleep. So when is your sleep a significant enough problem that you actually have to get some mental assistance from doctors or health professionals? So when you find that your lack of sleep impacts on your ability to perform daily tasks. Now this you can, and this I mean to the point of you're so groggy, and somebody told me in the week she feels like a zombie throughout the day. Like, if that's what you're doing and you can't make decisions, that's a challenging space. You know, you need to be able to perform during the day, be engaged in different tasks throughout the day. So if it's affecting your performance in terms of your focus, your memory, just your ability to pay attention, your ability to drive, it's a big deal. It's a lot of cats going on my roof. Your ability to drive, quite a big deal. Like, if you find yourself that you're so zoned out and like zombie, like tiredness, that driving is a problem, and you have that for more time than you can remember. So if you can't possibly remember, or if it's possible that you've been feeling like this for so long that you can't remember when was a good time in terms of your sleep and your energy levels, seek help for it. Speak to your doctor about it. Another red flag for sleep, if you stop breathing while you sleep, if you've got a partner or somebody in the room with you and they tell you that you wake up like this every night, and you know, you can record it, you can start a sleep routine journal type of space of, you know, I remember we spoke about that thing called sleep apnea, where you just feel like, if your partner does that often, or if the partner tells you you do that often, maybe try and record how often that happens, because it can be a sign and a symptom of something more serious. So definitely you can look into sleep apnea. If your partner tells you that you are snoring too often or too loud, can also be a sign of something more serious. It could also just be nothing, but it could also be a sign of something too serious. And if this is prolonged, seek support for it. Like, reach out and get from your doctor and get some help with it. If you struggle to wake up and get out of bed to the point where you cannot perform daily tasks, like you're so exhausted that everything feels like it's too much work. There's an element of this happens in an element of depression as well, where everything that is your daily task just feels like it's overwhelming. People who are living with depression and struggling with depression, it is one of the biggest challenges. Going to shower is not getting up and going to shower for my day. Going to shower feels like an unbelievable task. And if you feel like that unbelievable task is because you are just so exhausted and you don't have the energy for it, definitely reach out and tell your doctor, I just don't have the energy for anything. Again, you feel overly sleepy throughout the day, and you know, you need multiple naps throughout the day. And if that happens even when you're sleeping well at night, then it becomes a problem. So if you're getting 7 to 8 hours, even more, but you still feel like you need a 2 to 3 hour nap in the middle of the day, that is a sign that you actually something else is going on. You need to check that out. And then not being able to fall asleep and stay asleep for more than a few hours per night. If this happens consistently, then you do need to speak to your doctor about it. And again, if you're awake for 2-3 nights, it's problematic. It's going to impact on your ability to perform daily. And again, you are worthy of the help. You are worthy of the support. Reach out and find out what's going on. a couple of things I want you to remember from this before I teach you this breathing exercise is that sleep is different for everyone, and you have to find what works for you. If it's, you know, we all in general need to sort of sleep in a dark room, but some people need a night light, and that's okay if it works for you. Find the things that work for you. Make small changes and don't overwhelm yourself. So make small changes as in, okay, on a Tuesday and a Thursday, I'm going to bed at 8 o'clock. I'm going to give myself an early night on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Maybe your whole family needs to do it. Maybe everybody actually just needs to settle in and have early nights. Other small changes, I'm going to stop drinking coffee at 3 or 4 p.m. as much as I can manage it, or caffeinated drinks. Small changes, set yourself a time frame, and that's what you're focusing on. I'm going to improve my physical movement. And you know, if you've been watching me, I'm not talking about exercise, I'm talking about moving your body. Because people hear exercise and they're like, oh, no, I don't do exercise. But it's not necessarily about the exercising space, it's about moving your body. Our bodies need to move, and especially if we're working from home. Every hour, like Rox does it at the end of the day, she goes for a walk, leaves work. That's pretty cool. You could do that at certain times of the day. Maybe you set an alarm that you actually just move your body a bit. Maybe you end your day with playing your favorite song and jumping around and dancing and just shaking out all that stress from the day. All of these are movements, and all of these are helpful, but we need to improve our movement, and you will improve your sleep if you improve your exercise levels. And then don't be so hard on yourself. Try to calm down your body to encourage sleep. But remember, it may take time, and you're going through quite a bit at the moment. And I would say that if you're really struggling to fall asleep, you know what really doesn't work is the way that we toss and turn. And we get so agitated about it, as in like, oh, I can't sleep. And we toss and we turn and we get agitated, and next we check the time and there's been half an hour, and it gets really frustrating. We're not calming ourselves in that space. So even when what the response you want to have is, I'm so frustrated that I can't fall asleep, try and calm yourself, because whether you are frustrated or calm, it's still doesn't make a difference. Like, sleep is still going to be an issue. But if you try and calm yourself as much as possible, sleep will actually be easier to achieve than if you are upsetting yourself because you can't fall asleep. I hope that makes sense. And then, of course, seek support and speak to your doctor or health professional if you need more support. In terms of mental health OT, I can help you with sleep hygiene. I can look at practical ways we can change your environment, practical ways we can change your daily routine, just other things we can do to keep trying and to ensure that you are getting the sleep that you need in order to perform the way you want to. So in terms of my private practice, if that is something you are interested in, please DM me or email me, and we can talk about rates and sessions, etc. And if it's sleep is something you really need to get into, then that is definitely something I work with. I'm going to read a comment by Happy Ovary Tea. Lemon balm and mint essential oils help to relax and aid sleep as well. I use this when I'm doing breathing exercises before sleep. That's such a nice comment to actually just get us into the breathing exercises. Thank you, Justine, for that one. I'm going to get into a breathing exercise, and I'm going to tell you, I've started using this one in the last couple of months. Remember, the space of breathing work or breath work in general needs to be practiced. So I'm not going to tell you that you're going to do this breathing exercise and you're going to fall asleep immediately. It's not about that. If you've been listening to the full session, everything I've mentioned aids in your ability to fall asleep. So I'm not going to tell you that you can use lavender oil on your pillow, but you can still stay up watching Netflix till 3 a.m. and your sleep's going to be fine. You know, you need to look for a balance in it. So in that space, the same with the breathing exercise. You might find it very frustrating the first time you use it, because it could be, depending on where you are in your sleep patterns, it could be frustrating. You could find that actually it's not just working for me, it's not a quick fix. Let me just put it that way. It's not a quick fix. But it does help slow down your thinking. It does help slow down your heart rate. It does help in the stress cycle. So even if it's not going to help you sleep, it is going to help decrease your cortisol levels. And remember, that's what our focus is. We want to decrease our cortisol levels so that we can actually sleep better. We can manage our stress better. So I'm inviting you to try this one with me. I'm only going to do about 3 rounds because I'm just worried about time. And thank you all for being here for so long. That's pretty cool. So let's try it together. And then I want to encourage you to try it when you get into bed this evening. And you know, like if you need spaces where you need to actually really just have a good pre-bedtime routine, then maybe that includes a hot bath, a cup of tea. Maybe you would do one of my deep pressure massage videos after your hot bath, and then you do this breathing exercise once you're in bed with the lights off. So what we're going to do, if you're making notes, you don't have to make notes, you can watch this again. We're going to inhale for 4, we're going to hold for 7, and we're going to exhale for 8. The trick with this one is when you exhale, try and make that 8 longer and longer every time you exhale. The first time you try it, I don't want you to try it more than 5 times. So you're going to do the routine more than 5 times. If it doesn't work for you tonight, that's okay. Try it again tomorrow night. Try it again. Try it again. You will see that your body really just gets into the routine of calming with your breathing. And it builds a better resilience to poor sleep. So wherever you are, I think, let me play some music in the background if I've got it open. I do not, so that's not going to happen. I just want to see, on Facebook, Candace is saying she made herself a lavender pillow spray. That sounds lovely. Like, there's another thing you can YouTube or Pinterest, guys. How to make DIY lavender spray. Sounds fantastic. So, let's try a sleep routine, a breathing exercise. So, remember, we're going to inhale for 4 through your nose. We're going to hold for 7. You're going to exhale through your mouth for 8. And then, with the second and the third, try and make that 8 go longer and longer. So let's try it. Okay, so wherever you are, if you're seated, you put your feet flat on the ground and your palms on your hand if you need to. If you're laying down, uncross your legs, and because you will be laying down and doing this in bed, try and do it with your legs uncrossed, flat on your back, and your hands open and at your side. Again, if this is uncomfortable for you, try putting a pillow under your knees, and then maybe 2 pillows, just get your knees up a little bit if it's uncomfortable for you. Some people need to lay on their side and put a pillow between their legs, so your position that you sleep in is also quite significant. But for breathing, flatten your back on the side. Okay, let's inhale for 4 and inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to hold for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and exhale through your mouth for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. Let's do another one. Inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and exhaling for out. You can do the sound as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Remember, we're making it longer as we exhale. Let's do last one together. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4, and you're holding for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you're exhaling for 8 through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice and long at the end. Lovely. Give it a try. Give it a try. I did a session a couple of weeks ago. Like, let me know in the comments if you're still here, like how that works for you. You can always come back and post on the comment section. I'm going to save this video in my IGTV and like let people know if it worked for you. Because that's the thing with breathing. People are quite pessimistic about breathing until we try it. And understanding just how much breathing controls our body and how much breathing controls our mental health. And it is really an affordable, accessible, available to everyone. And it's something that even if you now meet someone who's struggling with their sleep, you can ask them, have you tried a breathing exercise? You inhale for 4, you hold for 7, you exhale for 8, and you just really try and calm your body, control your breathing. After that, try and really get your breathing back to a normal, slow pace. It does help you fall asleep. It really will. If it doesn't help the first or the second night, I encourage you to keep trying because it will help. We will get there. And that is all I have to say about sleep, guys. I really hope it helps. I hope there were some good tips in this. I hope there were some things you're going to try. I hope you can pick something that worked for you or sounds like it might work for you across all of that. Whether it be changing your environment, whether it be changing your daily routine, or changing your pre-sleep wind-down routine. Find something that works for you. Remember, small changes. Don't try and do it all at once. Even if deep breathing is the only thing you're going to do for the next week, is try and add breathing before you go sleep. Give it a try. You're very welcome with this. Give it a try. And then let me know. Inbox me or tell me, this is complete crap. It didn't work. It happens again. We were all different. All of this might not work for you. It's very possible. If it doesn't and you find that nothing works for you, then I would definitely consider going to see someone about it, because sleep is important, and as always, you are important, and how you feel during the day is important. So I'm going to end of this video now. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for all your comments. It has been very cool. First Sunday evening live, and it's actually gone really well. There's quite a few of you here, which is pretty nice. And I hope you have a lovely week. I hope your sleep improves. Need to make small changes. Yes, you do. Just small changes. I really such a believer in small changes. Don't overwhelm yourself, guys. And don't be hard on yourself. It happens. We all go through sleep challenges. We all go through struggles. But you've now got a little bit more information about ways that you can look after yourself. I hope you have a really lovely week, and I will, you see, those off already just from the breathing. Might have happened. If you did fall asleep during the breathing and I'm now ending the session, don't be alarmed. I'm not offended. It happens. You'll be surprised how many times you do the session with patients and they all fall asleep in it, which is great. Not really, but it's a cool activity to do with them. So again, like Ian's saying, he fell asleep. I encourage you to try it. We can all control our breathing, and it might just be exactly what you need. Have a lovely week. Bye-bye.